Hello, and welcome back to the ministry. This is Taj McCameron, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to be doing a review of a couple movies, but the way I'm saying I'm doing it different is God showed me two films. One I'm a little bit more familiar with. The other one, it's just been a long time since I watched it. So we're going to start with Save the Last Dance. Now, I'm going to let you know right now, I've been in a mental warfare about this film. I didn't want to watch it. And I didn't. So what I'm telling you is from off of my memory of what I feel is the most important elements of that film to discuss with you. If I come back and do any further revelation, it's because the Lord done shown me, okay, that there was something else I needed to say. But I think I can pretty much cover the gist of what the Lord is trying to say with this. It may be important to somebody, so I'm going to review this part, okay? And yes, we're gonna hit on some points, but don't think I'm just gonna sit up here and just not go through. We gonna go through. It's not gonna be quite as in depth as it may have been had I sat and watched the entire film. Meaning the little nuances, okay? They might not be here. But the things that I'm already seeing were important to bring up, I'm going to talk about. And the Lord's bringing my revelation to those things even as I'm speaking this out right now. Okay, so let's begin with, let me first start by addressing this. Look, I don't care what level of person you are. You go through elementary school, you go through middle school, you go through high school, you even go through college, okay? Even after you leave college, you go into the workforce, you go into this workforce, you go into that workforce, you go in whatever workforce. You move from that phase of life into your middle-aged phase of life. There's even in that phase of life, especially if you're associating with people, it's going to be like this. And groupings, groups, sectors, and sector groups. It's going to feel like this. And then when you get into your older age range, it's going to feel the same way. What am I saying? You always gonna feel like you in high school. What am I saying? You are always going to feel like you're dealing with the cliquish groups. You're always gonna feel like you're dealing with these people, especially for those of you that are out here on these social media streets. Come on. There are even cliques amongst the YouTubers. There are cliques amongst these groups, that group, that group. You're going to be in here. You're not going to be accepted here. We're going to reject you over here. We're going to do this over here with you. Then you got the nerdy group. Then you got the prophet group. Then you got the this group. And you got the that group. And it's not making sense. So I'm just trying to make it understandable for all of you that you're going to have your grouped situations, okay? And with that being said, we're going to come to the beginning of this film, okay? So the movie starts off. You have the main character, which is the female, who she has recently just lost her mother, and she has to go and live with her father. So she has to take the train and move back to New York? I believe it's New York. Hold on. No, it's not New York, it's Chicago. I need to make sure of that. So, with that understanding, you have this girl who, she's lost her mother. She's being forced to go and stay with her father. Now, she was already had her life set up for her. Things were going in the right direction. She was preparing to go to a major event. It was a audition for her, and it was audition for the School of Juilliard, okay? And her mother was late. Her mother was trying to get to the audition and ends up in a fatal car crash. So, with that being said, this is why she ends up moving in with her father. Now, this means something to me because my mother passed away around that time frame in high school for me. So, Sarah is what her name is. She now goes from the lifestyle that she was living to having to go live with her father, who lives in on the south side and is not the best neighborhood. Her father's name is Roy, and he's a jazz musician at a nightclub. So once she transfers, she ends up at a minority black school, and she white. Why am I telling you this? For some of you, where God is preparing to send you, it's not a place that you would particularly choose for yourself. For some of you, that's going to be a wilderness season. For others, you've already gone through this wilderness season. You've graduated. But what God's about to send you into, though it may not look like it, it is going to be a level of what you learned in that previous season, where you dealt with being in the ratchet area, the ratchet neighborhood, all that kind of stuff. It trains you to be able to be in this same grouping, because the grouping of people you're going to be in, though they may look better, they still deal with the same demons. They still deal with the same cliquish mentality. They still deal with the same thing, but the external looks better, but the internal is exactly the same. You understand what I'm saying? So once she transfers, she's one of a handful of white people that study at a black high school, and she ends up finding out about this thing called steps. It's a, what do you call it? Like the grouping for the black dancers. And there's this girl named Charlene. Now, Charlene, she ends up befriending. Now, if you remember, that was, I believe it was, what's her name? Her face is in front of me. The girl that was in Scandal. Kerry Washington's character. And she ends up finding out about it. And her brother, Derek, is a part of this. Now, everybody knows that Derek has aspirations to go to Georgetown University, right? And to become a pediatrician. Derek decides to help Sarah develop her dance skills. So, at first, when they meet, they really don't like each other. Let me explain this to you right here. For some of you, your God-ordained spouse, when he became aware of you, either he didn't like you, he rejected you. I'm being reminded of Trust and Obedience Ministry's word on rejection. That's why has your God-ordained spouse rejected you, is what the name of it is. yeah, he didn't like her at all. And they, like, every time they came into contact with each other, they were literally in a verbal cat fight with one another. And didn't want to talk to each other. But once they got over themselves, they started talking. Meanwhile, Derek's got his own issue. He got his best friend who he ain't no good for him. He been hanging with him. He feels like he owed his dude something. And he keep hanging with the boy because he feel like he owe him something, right? But he then starts hanging around Sarah's character, okay? So Derek starts hanging around Sarah because he's trying to help her improve her, what is it? It's a specific word that they call improvisational skills in her dancing, which she did not have. She was very strict, and some of y'all are that way. For some of you, and God had already shown me this about my God-ordained spouse. My God-ordained spouse is way looser than I am. Way creatively looser, all of this kind. I'm like, it's going to take some getting used to. Okay, God, I see you. Because I'm that person. I match yellow with yellow. He'll match yellow with purple. And I'm like, and then make it bezaddled. And I'm like, God, you sure? I'm like, okay, I see you. And no, there's no, what do you call it? Gayness involved in it. It's just, he's creatively, he likes shiny things and all that kind of stuff. You know, already showed me the enemy's been trying to cloak him in that anyway. That entire lifestyle. God said that the enemy, that's the veil that the enemy's been using against him. I don't know what the enemy's been using to him for me, but that's what the enemy is trying to do with him. So, yeah, he ain't like that, but he's very creatively attested to the fact that he'll experiment with everything. And I've always been straight-laced. Blue is blue. Blue don't go with nothing else more than blue. It'll get closer to another shade of blue, but I'm not taking it too far away from that other shade. Yes, I know there is adjacent color ranges and tertiary colors and all kinds of prettiness. I just have never really been that person. I'm straight-laced, titty. I follow a schedule. God has broken me of a lot of things in this time frame. Well, and it's those elements. But more importantly, where God is taking you, where your God-ordained spouse is, he hangs out with a different crowd. He hangs out with a different crew. And you're coming in. Remember, Sarah, if you remember this movie, she was plain Jane to a T. She don't look like she need to be going around and hanging with any of those black people. You know what I'm saying? For you, maybe it's your status in comparison to your God-ordained spouse's status. You're very plain, and it's not so much that you're plain, but you're the good girl. You're the this. Ain't nobody. You ain't trying to get into nothing with nobody. You pretty much stay to yourself. Okay? Because you stay to yourself. You ain't into the drama. You ain't into the... Focus me on what it is I'm supposed to be focusing on. I don't care about the tomfoolery. But this individual, he's been hanging with people that be in tomfoolery mess. I was literally talking to the Lord about some of this stuff because I be praying. And it's that element of what the Lord has always done to me in a season of growth and transition and transformation. He separates. Oh, where I'm trying to take you, I got to separate you from those people. So because he got to separate you from those people, guess what? He's got to cause a drastic cut between them and the spouse, because it's like, if they allow that person or people group to stay around them, it's going to cause drama between you and them. So God will do the work. What ends up happening, now you can say this, I'm going to inject this here. Remember what I said in the word that I released, talking about don't get between you, your God-ordained spouse, and the counterfeit. That is from that world. Don't get in between it, because he know how to handle that world. You ain't there. All you're doing is praying for God's will to happen in the lives of these individuals. And that's going to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. So there's going to be a level of rejection at first, because you don't look like you belong. The one thing that God has shown me repetitively, dream after dream after dream, you don't look like you belong. Not just culturally, not just because you're of this race and they're of that race. You don't look like you belong in the industry God is dropping you in. You don't look like you. Your whole thing, really, you taking me over there? And this is their clique, this is their world, this is where your God-ordained spouse is at. And this is why him being involved with the people that he was involved with, just like Derek, he was involved with a grouping of people, and his bestie and all that kind of stuff, trying to say, oh, no. And in some cases, listening carefully, in some cases, these men left the woman to come to you. And because that woman looked like she belonged with this guy, because you remember in that movie, I'm always going to call her Kendra, because she was Kendra to me, because I remember her from Buffy. She was the one that he used to be involved with, and this was a counterfeit to the umphtest degree, okay? This was that Jezebelic character all day. So he ends up slowly getting involved with her. At first, he's not so much hiding it, he's just meeting her in other places. They go to the ballet room, and he's teaching her in there. They go to, they're standing out on the street, and he's teaching her some steps. They go to the basketball court or something, like I forget, but he's showing her certain things in, like, environmental-wise places. But then he says, the biggest test I can give you for this, and y'all know, is I need to take you to the club. So he takes her to the club, and in that environment, everybody sees them, because this is the place everybody hangs out at. For some of you, God has called you for a public platform, not just a platform, but an arena, meaning the industry has called you, and you're going to have eyes on you. There will be attention before you, and when people see you and your spouse together, they're going to be like, who this and what that? I talked about in the, I did a post, is what I did. I did a post in my community where I linked to a word called My Girls Like to Fight by Deani Neves. In it, she talks about the fact that there's people in the environment that you're going into, and because of the environment that you are going into, these chicks don't like you. They are literally talking about you behind your back. It's the most high schoolish drama foolery. If you remember in that movie, come on now, the scene where that girl, I call her Kendra, whatever her name is, I don't know what her name was. I think her name is Makila. Yeah, I think it's Makila. I think it is. I'm looking at the note here. Nikki. Nikki was her name. Makai was the friend. Nikki was the person that played Kendra on Buffy. So she don't like you. This particular person don't like you. If you come into that industry, you come into that place, maybe you got to work with this woman, maybe he has had involvement. You don't know who this chick is. You could care less who this woman is. Understand, if you've been paying attention to the theme of the videos that the Lord has been giving me, there is a spirit of rejection on these women that they refuse to be ignored. You gonna address me. I'm that chick. I'm that person. And yes, I had your man before you had your man. And this, that, and the other. And if they don't say it, they friends say it. But somebody gonna make it known to you. He was in that person's bed before yours. You think you got him, but he had her first, and this is the pettiest high schoolish bull you will ever deal with. And my thing is this, some of these people are 30 and 40 years old, still talking this foolery, because their spirits are immature. But a level of discernment is not going to allow you to get involved with their tomfoolery when they come at you. Because what this chick did is when they went to the club, she said, I'm about to squash this. So she goes over to him and starts dancing all up. She pushes her out the way and then goes dancing all up on him in the club. And he don't stop her. He don't stop her. He looking at her, but he doesn't engage in it, but he don't stop her. For some, your God-ordained spouse has been dealing with a distraction. Come on, God, bring it around. He's been dealing with a distraction. This chick's a distraction. Ain't nothing more than a distraction. She keep coming around. She keep doing whatever. She just won't prove the point. I still can get his attention, and I can steal his attention if I want to. And if she could call you, or which would it be she'd call that to you? Trying to show you that you don't own anything. But remember the word that I released. These people got to make their presence known because they can't help it. They're narcissists. They want to start stuff because they're narcissists. If you recall that her and this chick got into a fight in the gym over this guy. And this only happened after Sarah slept with him, okay? For some of you, when you get married and start sleeping with your spouse, when you and your spouse come out of hiding, these women gonna be waiting to start some foolery with you. Don't bite the bait. Stephanie P just recently did a word called your test. Okay? That's your test. And she explains these kind of maneuvers are what the enemy's going to use when you come out of hiding. Don't get caught up in it. Don't entertain it. It's a move of the enemy, okay? In order to get you involved in this foolery. For you and your God-ordained spouse, you both have a calling on your life. And with the calling on your life, your husband already got the skill, but he's got to brush you up in it. He's got to give you the looseness necessary for you to be able to maneuver in that area in industry. He's got to be able to help you where you're stuck up a little bit and tight. He's got to loosen you up. How many times have I said this? This is what he has to do with you. And he's going to have to teach you. He's going to have to give you wisdom. For some of you, and a lot of you know this, that your God-ordained spouse is your teacher. He's the one that has to teach you in the way and in which way you've got to operate in this coming season. You understand what I'm saying? So because of that, people ain't gonna like you. There was a scene in the film that comes up after this, that after the fight, she's sitting with Derek's sister Chanel, and the sister tells her, you don't understand how people look at y'all. And she's like, I don't care how people look at y'all. And this is how you need to feel about this. Don't care what other people think about you. Do not care. And she's like, you are white, is pretty much what the girl was saying. You white, he black. You don't belong with him. You confound the one good black brother in the projects, and you then took him away from us, is what they see. For some of you, whatever industry your God ordains, you found the one good guy that they've been trying to get him to put a ring on their finger for the years and years. And the one person that don't look like they belong, you got it. You got it. Don't nobody believe that you deserve it. Because you don't belong in their group. You don't belong in their clique. You don't belong there. But you ain't even trying to be part of their clique. You don't want to be out there, especially if people gonna sit up there and act like they're 2 years old and we out here in high school over these men. And the fact of the matter, I don't care what environment you're in, people do that. If you're at the job, if you're at the club, and don't go to the club with your husband, forget it. Especially if it's the same club that these chicks hang out at. And even yet, and still, even if it's not the place where the people that he used to hang out at, there are going to be women that see you if he takes you to a club or takes you to go hang out and have a fun, good time. They're going to see you with this man and say, what is she doing with him? Because the caliber of man God is sending in your life, he's going to lift you. To everyone else, you don't belong there. To everyone else, you don't belong with him. To everyone else. So, there are things that man's going to have to deal with his family about. And I wanted to bring this in here. I got a couple more minutes. There are some things that the Lord brought my attention. My dad was watching a court program the other day, and he always be watching that. And it was this chick, right? And it was a scenario where this woman just got married. They're newlyweds to having married. And the sister of the spouse was best friends with the ex-wife. And she arranged a vacation so that they would all end up on that weekend together. There are some people, even in your God-ordained spouse's life. Trust and Obedience Ministries did a video, be careful of your God-ordained spouse's siblings. Go look at it. Especially if you know that your spouse has siblings. Because they gonna have feelings towards you. Some of them are gonna have feelings towards you. This chick brought the ex on a vacation. And she was like, even the judge sat up there and said, you brought the ex to a vacation that his wife was at? I can already tell what motive you have here. I can see it clear as day. It was manipulative. to invite somebody like that. Are you kidding me? Some of those people gonna be like that, whether it's sisters, best friends, his friend's friend, his female friend that still got contact with that chick, or even one of the exes from the past. And some of them exes are using that door to sit close enough to y'all that if any impropriety, if you can just hear it impropriety, just a little bit impropriety, they want to hear the crumbs. Remember when Jesus said that he was speaking and the woman came up and he said, I do not give the crumbs, I don't give to the dogs, which to me, what's a female dog? You're going to leave that there. Don't give the crumbs. But these crumbs, that's what these women are, trying to get back in. Trying to get access, trying to get an access point in some way, shape, or form. Do not let them in. And you and your God-ordained spouse got to be careful and cautious of these individuals. What else, Lord? I'm actually coming back. I'm going to do it short because I ain't got that much left.